Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the BOCC statutory meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, July 28th, and the time is 9:03 a.m. We will call this meeting to order. First up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Brendan, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will take attendance beginning with Trish.
Brendan Hirsch, Interim County Attorney.
Paula McFeeters.
Zach Swearingen.
Miles Lucero.
Robert Choi, CAO.
And thank you to everybody else in attendance. Are there any modifications to today's agenda?
There are none.
I will ask for a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That'll bring us into public comment. I have one person listed on the sheet, but as always, if somebody would like to speak, just let me know. And we have Wendy.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I first would like to say thank you. You've probably experienced the hardest commissioner year on record, and it has been a tough year. I think with all the disasters that we've had has been really tough on everybody, but you guys have a big line to toe, and I do want to say thank you. One of the things I wanted to bring to your attention today, and I did this only because I experienced it personally. We had a problem with our septic system a few years ago, and I brought it to you guys because I was turned in an anonymous complaint. Our septic system, we thought, had a leak in it. What it turned out to be was our tank had settled and it had broken the outline to the leaching field. And this made me start thinking the other day with all of our fire victims, because when the health department came out, they came out the very next day after we rented a backhoe. And he just said, we don't approve those anymore. They're not functional anymore. You have to replace this. I guess thank God I had my inheritance, because it cost $12,000 to replace it. And I know that's a lot more if you have to go out there commercially. But what I'm concerned about is our fire victims having to rebuild, and the insurance or the health department coming out and saying, yeah, this isn't covered anymore because they're outdated. I spoke with Allstate, American Family and Farm Bureau this last week to find out kind of what their coverages might be on this. Most of them told me that septic systems are not covered. There's an extending endorsement that you can add to a policy. It's called a change in code. So if that was outdated and they changed the codes, but those have to be brought on by an actual loss. And considering most of the septic tanks would not have been a loss because of the fire, but they would be a reconnect for the rebuilds, I am very concerned that the health department, Pueblo County Health, might go out and say, those are no longer valid. Mine was about 25 years old. I'm sure the ones in Beulah and Rye, some of them may be as old as 40 years old. So I'm really asking someone in this room today, reach out to the health department to actually see if this could be a problem, because I think the last thing our poor fire victims need to do is an experience of something that's not covered. One of the agents told me that, well, you could use your personal line for your personal losses, but then that means that you're not replacing a bed, dishes, whatever's in the home. Now you're having to use that money towards a septic system. And I think the last thing our fire victims need are surprise costs. And septic systems can run as much as $30,000. The last thing I'd ask to address today, and I don't know if it's been addressed, is what the actual costs are to our fire department, our rec department, sheriff's department, the responding departments from Pueblo County that have stepped up, done extra time, done extra money. Is this actually coming out of their budgets? Is there reimbursement from the feds, the state, or are we going to be looking at a $20 million deficit by the end of the year? So I think we should maybe share that with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kern. I'm sure that we can address a little bit more in our commissioner comments, but just super high level is, quite frankly, we're not sure of our reimbursement levels of because there's federal reimbursement, and so we're continuing to work that. But yeah, this is I talked to our director of public works just over the weekend at the county fair, and there's some pretty staggering numbers on damages. And this is, as we've all sat up here and said multiple times, this is a very long-term issue for this community. Especially for the people who lost everything, but just moving forward on property tax generation, the community itself probably in our lifetime never looking the same. And yeah, to your point, I remember one of the first days that all of us were in the same room on a big meeting that was down at the chamber. It was brought up on the septics or the cisterns and things like that because it's a problem. So I don't know if you guys want to say anything immediately or just wait for commissioner comments.
I'll wait.
Okay. Thank you, though. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for public comment? Just state your name for the record.
Dylan Martinez. I just wanted to say, thank you commissioners for coming out to the county fair. It was a different fair this year. But it was a good event. The showcase sale, did well. I wanted to thank all the rest of the fair board members. We're all volunteers. Thank the, extension office. They do a ton of work the weeks before and after. And thanks to all the parents and community volunteers, that are our, superintendents. And, it was a great fair. So just thought I'd say that today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, that'll bring us into our consent agenda, Mr. Hirsch.
Yeah, our one item on today's consent agenda, 2A, is a resolution appointing Melissa Cook as a Pueblo County representative to the Board of Directors of the Southern Colorado Economic Development District.
Everybody got anything?
No, I think Ms. Cook will make a great representative. She voluntarily attends those meetings as is, so I think she'll do a great job of representing the city and the entire community of Pueblo.
Yes,
Great. I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. That'll bring us into our regular agenda, Mr. Hirsch.
Okay, our first item, 3A, is a resolution approving the change order to the agreement between Train USA Incorporated, doing business as Train, and Pueblo County to install HVAC products on certain Pueblo County buildings. And we have Weston Burr here to present.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Just the high-level overview of what's going on with this, it's more of a paperwork cleanup. So the change order is to the contract that you signed and approved last year for the chiller replacement that was supposed to be at the jail is now going on the CSS building. We've had major issues with that chiller on the roof, so this is advantageous that we're doing that, of course. But then this also includes the cooling tower at GSC. The reason for the change order was additional engineering that was required to put that chiller on a different building instead of the jail because of the timeline. But we also determined during engineering that the cooling tower that exists now is undersized for that building. So we had to upsize the cooling tower that was going to be replacing the one that's existing. So the dollar amount, though, that we have discussed with the financing and everything, the discussions we've had, that is not changing. So we are not increasing that dollar amount by this change order. That's already included. So it's more of just a paperwork cleanup so that we can start getting invoices processed for the engineering side. And then just to update you on timelines, we are looking at the chiller replacement at DHS, the old judicial building, would start the middle of September and would be completely, let's see, we'd have demobilization first part of November. And then the cooling tower has already been released. And so we will probably see it about November. And then the install would start mid to late January and then would be completed by April. So we would have it in place during shoulder season and then we would be good for next summer. So that's just kind of where we're at status wise with the project. If you have any questions.
So there'd be no serious interruption to any services provided installed during those times at
Correct.
DHS?
Correct. Yeah. And at DHS, we'll already be in a shoulder season and a switch over to heating. So that's not going to be impacting anything. The good thing about the chiller that was supposed to go on the jail is actually slightly oversized for CSS, but we are running two different chillers at CSS. We have a 150 ton on the roof and a 20 ton on a back building that was just used for the basement. So what we'll do is decommission the 20 ton chiller that it's plagued us for a long time too. So we'll decommission it and completely remove it and then just run the building on one chiller.
How old are those equipment that are on the CSS building now?
The York chiller, the 20 ton was installed, I believe, in the mid 90s. And we're coming up on, I think, year 19, almost to year 20 on the main chiller, the 150 ton on the roof. That's about the life cycle of a chiller. 20 years is probably pretty good if it's well maintained.
Does that include these new ones that we're installing? We're expecting about a 20 year.
About 20,
effective life.
yeah.
Okay.
20 to 25 is really good if they're well maintained, and we do. We maintain them very well.
Can you anticipate any unforeseen complications with this? You know, once we approve this dollar amount, can we feel pretty confident that this is where we'll settle, or are there some red flags that we need to be on the lookout?
I think we've run through most of the scenarios and I don't really anticipate. We do have some contingency built into that, but Brendan brought up this morning that the change order included a clause about the structural engineering, and I verified with the team that that's not necessary. We don't require any structural modifications because of a larger cooling tower or a different chiller. So we're good on that. So I think we've already kind of worked through that with the engineering to determine most of these unknowns have already been worked
How
out.
about any big like plumbing, third-party plumbing or electrical work that needs to happen?
And I think we've already anticipated that. I think the subcontractors are all built under Train. And so they've done multiple site walks. I think we're at eight or 10 site walks. So I'm not really anticipating anything major coming up.
Okay.
Thank you, Weston, for your continued work on this. I know in anticipating the opening of the new jail, that was one of the things we wanted to see happen, is to move that chiller to another location. So for the $200,000 price increase, I don't see any issues with moving forward. It's something that the counties needed to do maintenance wise for a while. Makes sense to me. And thank you for bringing us this modified schedule and pricing so we could review it.
And we've kept the jail going, of course, with a temporary chiller that we've rented from Train. That is slated to be decommissioned August 3rd. So the remaining personnel that's in the jail, we're going to make accommodations. I think records is still scanning documents. So we're going to have temporary units that are in those spaces. But for all intents and purposes, chiller's gone August 3rd. That was a huge expense, monthly expense we were incurring. So.
That's the one bright spot. We won't be paying for that while we
Right.
do this. So.
No kidding.
Right. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Weston. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3A.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Next item, 3B, is a resolution approving the solar power purchase agreement between Solon Corporation and Pueblo County, Colorado for the purchase and installation of PV solar system at the Pueblo County Detention Center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Zupan. We're happy to be here today to talk about the power purchase agreement with Solon America and answer any questions, of course, that you might have. This has been a long process. We started developing the RFP a couple of years ago. We spent a lot of time on the front end trying to develop a project that most closely met the needs of Pueblo County. Once the award was made to Solon, we spent a lot of time developing the contract language of the agreement. We used resources in the county attorney's office and outside counsel. We believe we've come up with an agreement that is beneficial to Pueblo County and acceptable as well to Solon America. And we're excited to maybe get this project started. The project, if approved, would take approximately 12 to 14 months to design and build. In this agreement, that system will be entirely owned and operated and maintained by Solon America. Pueblo County's role in this is to purchase the power that's produced off that solar array. It's a utility scale system. producing about 2.7 megawatts of power. During the design phase of the jail, the board at that time really encouraged the design team to develop a facility that could meet the challenge of a net zero electrical energy building. A lot of the design features that are in the building today are the highly efficient electric powered equipment designed specifically for the fact that we were going to use potentially the solar generated power to help offset that. This power purchase agreement does offset those utility costs. They're not a direct bill. This is a direct tie or direct connect to the grid. So it will be virtually metered and the county can allocate how they want that throughout county buildings. As your executive summary pointed out, a potential would be that if the jail used 1.2 to 1.4 of the megawatt outage, the balance of that 2.7 megawatts could then be applied to other county buildings like judicial center or whatever. One of the most attractive things about this agreement, of course, is the cost of the kilowatt. It came in at 7.2 cents per kilowatt hour, which is significantly less than what Pueblo County pays Black Hills Energy now for kilowatt hours. They've got kind of a floating scale now depending on the time of day and the demand, but we have asked the Energy Management Office here at Pueblo County and the sustainability engineer to really evaluate this along with us throughout the course of this development. And they are excited too about having this opportunity to present some cost savings for Pueblo County and to maintain a sustainability goal in light of the current challenges with sustainability issues. So everyone that's been a part of this is excited about the program. It should be a pretty forthright project. There might be a little bit of cost to the county. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do the primary connection for the electrical primary from the corner of Medal Honor of Boulevard for a transformer there to the transformer that will be for the photovoltaic. It's about 800 feet of underground power that would need to be put in by Black Hills Energy. We have purchased the large transformer for the solar project as part of the jail project already. So the only expense would be that underground conduit for about 600 to 800 feet-ish to get from one transformer to the next. But other than that, all costs are borne by the solar developer, Solon, and they are excited and seem very energetic and motivated and ready to go.
What's ballpark? Thank you, by the way, Dave, for, I know you've been working on this for quite some time and it's gone back and forth. But yeah, just thank you for that continued work. What's the ballpark cost on that 600 to 800 foot?
I really couldn't say because we don't have transformers involved. It was around $280 a foot on Medal of Honor Boulevard, but that included a lot of things like transformers, which are really expensive that we won't have on this.
Okay.
I can get with their engineering department. They don't like to put a lot of engineering work and getting quotes together until they know they have a project, but we can certainly get that information started.
I mean, it's needed, but I just, it's always good, obviously, to know prices, but I lean towards what I try to always lean towards, and that's trying to get some money from the community, in this case, potentially Black Hills, to be able to, comp something or work with us on it. I mean, we're a pretty large customer. So if you can get me some more details, I'm sure that any one of us would be willing to reach out to Black Hills and see if they can't come to the table and help us out a little bit.
I can get that started.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you as well for all your work. I know it's been a process to get this done. It's one of the things that with the jail that we wanted to do is augment that electric usage with solar and be a green energy efficient in terms of how we operate that new facility. Explain real quickly right now, this is going to augment our electricity. It's not the only connection. We have Black Hills and then we'll have this that we pay the 7 cents a kilowatt hour. What are your estimates for that first year of service on this? How much savings do you anticipate the county would have on electrical?
You know, I kind of let the Energy Management Office do that. I've heard anywhere from 150,000 to about 275,000, and it just kind of depends on a variety of things. We could go back to them and get a little bit more clear information, but at 7.2 cents per kilowatt hour, as opposed to when we started the project, I think the average cost was more like 11.5 cents. And I think Black Hills has had an increase, maybe two, since that initial bit. But we can certainly go back to them and try to work up that exact number. It's year one should generate somewhere around 5.5 million kilowatt hours.
Wow, thank you.
So Mr. Zupan, 5.5 million kilowatt hours in that first year tapers down slowly. What's the anticipated usage from the jail?
It's approximately 1.2 to 1.3 megawatts per year consumption at the new jail. The Affordable Care Act that was signed into law in 2022 actually allowed these utility scale systems to be installed at 200% of what your adjacent property generates. So that allowed us to build a program that was 200% of what we would consume at the jail. So the jail should probably consume about half of that.
So to be clear, we will be producing, we're purchasing this power, all the power that this system produces, we're purchasing it, and then any excess over and above the jail, we can apply throughout the rest of the remainder of our network.
Correct, through the net metering, virtual net metering
Okay.
program. Yeah, the solar array is directly tied to the grid to Black Hills, and then through metering, we can allocate that to whatever buildings we want to offset.
So the fact that this that this PV system will offset the entirety of the electrical costs at the jail, even though it's a grid tie system, do we still consider that net zero? I guess I don't know the definition of net zero. You know, we've been advertising this jail as net zero since its inception. Now that we have the specifics of the solar system, are we indeed a net zero jail?
Yeah, in my understanding, we would be net zero if we apply 100% of that power to 100% of the jail.
Okay.
And it's an important distinction. Net zero means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Sometimes you talk about carbon emissions and manufacturing processes of all the things that built, and did you have carbon emissions in the manufacture of the building supplies? That's not this kind of net zero. It's really just the electrical component of powering the building and replacing that purchased power from the grid with solar generated power.
Thank you, sir. There are some utilities out there that do run on gas, correct? Including like our backup generators, gas?
Natural gas, and the only other appliances would be the natural gas boilers for domestic and utility hot water.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think this is a great deal for the county. Is there a reason? I think when we talked about this a year ago, we were talking about a 30-year agreement. Now it's down to 20. Is there a reason why that changed?
Yeah, the team really felt like the 20-year agreement was probably better because you do have some degradation of the solar panels in time. By year 20, you've lost potentially up to 10% of its capability just due to age and that sort of thing. So in consulting with others, including Jacobs Engineering, who really helped us design the RFP for this, it's really more beneficial for a municipality to take an opportunity at or near year 20 to renegotiate. Depending on what your power output actually is, you might even negotiate a fee that's less than that. They wouldn't want to necessarily decommission if all of a sudden they were losing 20% of their power production. They wouldn't want to just abandon the system. They might take that as an opportunity. Well, we can't get to 7.2, but how about 6 or something like that? It just sounds like there's a better opportunity for the county to leverage some negotiation in there and maybe make a better deal than being tied to that 30-year term.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think this is a really big accomplishment for us. I talked to our energy management office. We're paying 7 cents per kilowatt hour in this agreement across our network. In the best case scenario, at some locations, we pay about 20 cents per kilowatt hour. In other situations, we pay 80 cents, 80 to 90 cents per kilowatt hour. So no matter how you slice it, this is, I mean, if I'm thinking about this the right way, we want this system to be as big as possible and purchase as much power at this price as possible. So thank you for all the hard work on this. I know it's been a long time coming. And excited to see this out there.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3B.
So moved.
No, did you want to make a comment on that specifically? Well, can you guys keep it like real short? Because it's abnormal to.
Absolutely, Commissioner. So I would have prepared comments. I kind of caught this last minute. I'm trying to put this together. So Jose Soto, representative of the laborers, Pueblo County resident, lifelong. This project, I'm curious. Last that I was inquiring was, will this project, did it qualify for the waiver of the responsible bidder policy in the RFQ? I think I had reached out to Depan or to you about that a while back. Never heard nothing back on that. And the reason why I ask is because no matter how much of a savings this is a missed opportunity for the community, for county to set the example with Salon Solar or any other developer that wants to come in and use local labor, use local unions to build this out. You're talking utility scale project. And that hasn't happened. So I just wanted to kind of see where the county was on that, where there are with the RFP, and that making sure that Salon's been vetted as well, because I think I also relayed some information regarding Salon and the removal from a solar project in Centennial that was built under the Tri-Trade Solar Agreement. So is this really a company that we want to do business with? So there's two things there. And are we really using this as an opportunity to invest into our local workforce? Because I don't see no conversations of a project labor agreement, which I think the county can do, being it's a county project, and invest into our local workforce. So.
Okay. Do you know where? Looks like you want to say something, Dave.
Yeah. One of the things that Solon pointed out is that this project is owned, operated, and maintained by Solon, not Pueblo County. They indicate that they absolutely plan to use local labor, probably many of the same contractors and suppliers of material that worked on the construction of the new jail. They do have a core group of engineers and technical people that they will send to the project site during the construction of the array. But most of the electrical, electricians, groundwork, concrete, all those things will be provided from local labor sources and materials vendors. Regarding the responsible contracting, we talked with the Board of Commissioners about that at length, and we move forward from there.
With the reporting, have they been presented with our current reporting demands on solar projects in general, as far as what labor that they're using? They are not adhering to that, correct? Because it's not, it doesn't kind of fall underneath that scope.
I guess I'm not following with the question.
So like when we do a large scale solar project, there's reporting requirements that we have tightened up from this board.
In conjunction with the 1041 permit.
Correct. So they are not adhering to that because it's in essence not a 1041 permit.
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not familiar with the 1041 permit.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to that.
And I think the county could do one better there. I mean, we're not on the 1041 process. This is a Pueblo County RFP coming out. Not private development through the 1041 land use. This is Pueblo County and Salon doing business. So I think this is an opportunity for the county to say what they do. We're not for sale, right?
Okay.
Just because we're getting a great deal on megawatt hours, I think that's great. But once again, I think we've provided that information regarding Solon. I think you've seen us up here advocating for this work. Laborers, electricians, operators. You know, we do have a stake in this work, and I think I've tried to work with all of you guys to try to bring some of those jobs to this community, good paying union jobs in the renewable energy industry. And you've also asked your developers to do that, but until you guys do that, you know, you guys got to lead by example too.
Can we talk to Marcy then and have, I mean, what's our timeline on, you know, approval and then getting shovels in the ground, so to speak? I mean, can we pause and ask Marcy to talk to Solon and then see what the reporting requirements could be as far as local labor and kind of trying to iron that out as soon as possible, like within days, hopefully?
Yeah, I mean, we could work with the county attorney's office to develop whatever information that you seek, you know.
And commissioners, if you want to go that route, I would recommend just tabling this and coming back and bringing it. I don't
Okay.
want to execute a contract and then kind of retroactively impose
Okay,
requirements.
I know that we have good communications with Solon at this point, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not be opposed to that, because you're right. I mean, it's an opportunity and maybe we,
And I would like to flag that they just built a solar project under the tri-trade solar agreement. You know, those agreements are built for developers to streamline this work, right? And it is inclusive of the three trades that do this work: laborers, electricians, and operators. Those three trades have registered apprenticeship programs here. They have local workforce here. They have the training capacity here. So I don't understand why we would look anywhere else other than to our local trades to build out a high-quality construction project for the county.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we can table it, you know, and then get with the county attorney's office, get with Marcy, put them in contact with Solon and try and move on it until I would want to be able to get this back in front of us, hopefully by Thursday, but more realistically by Tuesday.
So Commissioner, are you suggesting that we rewrite the contract in such a way that requires just labor reporting requirements that we typically require for a 1041? Or are we going to mandate, since this is our contract, some level of
Trade solar.
union
agreement.
labor, you know,
Yeah,
modeling after the tri-trade agreement?
I mean, if the latter is available, I've always been kind of, and it's been kind of gray area to me. I'm not an expert in this by any way, shape or form, but that the county is restricted on what it can mandate on things.
I think so. This is just me referencing, I think the county does have the authority to mandate on their capital construction projects. The jail built under a project labor agreement. Yeah, no, there are several projects within the county that had executed project labor agreements by the BOCC. So you do have that authority. I think where we run into the issue with the land use and the 1041 side is it's actual private development, not
Right.
public development. So
Well, and this is, in essence, though, this is a Solon project and we're
partnering with them.
Right, this is not a
and-
county
and this
capital
is-
project.
Actually purchasing power from them
right.
as a
It's
consumer.
their
of
project and
We're a
we're,
consumer of their energy.
Yeah.
And so what
Right.
we're asking, I guess, what I would ask is that if they could consider the opportunity to utilize our local labor force as we have done on other 1041 permits, but this is not a 1041 process. It's really just asking them for consideration of our local workforce in the build of that solar array. That's what I would be asking for, more of a partnership that way, versus a mandate, because really, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure we can mandate. That's up to the attorneys to decide.
Well, I
whether
think we can. It's a development on our property. I think that's your point, is we are entering into an agreement for a development on our property. We could probably do what we want. It may even be more beneficial than a 1041. You know, that's pretty closely guarded by CRS, but is that your?
yeah. And I mean, I would make, I'm not a lawyer either. I just, I've seen the county enter into these agreements. I've seen the county build successful projects under project labor agreements. And, I've seen this board really advocate for renewable energy jobs, to be good paying local area union jobs. And this is that opportunity. Like I said, the tri-trade solar agreement's there. It's already, it's already been brought to developers and EPCs for that, specifically to build out and streamline the construction of these projects. but not with just, day labor, place laborers and whoever they can get in to fill these positions, high quality construction jobs that are a part of apprenticeship programs, right? That's at the end of the day. I mean, if it's good for the county all the way across, then it should be good for the workforce of the county as well.
Yeah.
Wherever we can get our local workforce engaged, that's what we want.
Throughout the course of the negotiation with Solon, they have indicated verbally, not in writing certainly, but they've indicated that they have every intention of using local people, local electricians, licensed, bonded, insured. He also knew that much of the Pueblo labor market is union oriented and had no problem with that. So
I,
And a
I was
tri-state
just
solar
gonna say, I
agreement.
appreciate that. I mean, and I'm not saying they'll do this by any way, shape or form, but it just historically, that's why we've had to tighten up reporting and different things, because you'll hear in essence lip service. And then you see a bunch of out of town, out of state license plates and everything else. So, I think as forceful as we can legally be and being a good partner still, I mean, it's not going to hurt them to have local labor and run through those programs on a project like this. Sorry, go ahead, Miles.
I was just going to ask Mr. Zupan, based on the fact that they've kind of expressed this verbally, do you think that there would be pushback to getting it into the contract so that it's formalized and agreed to?
yeah, from the start of the negotiation of the contract, they didn't want to have that in writing in the contract.
Lip service.
That's not something that they were familiar with. They didn't understand that it wasn't really a union requirement, a union job requirement or Davis-Bacon. It was just Pueblo County's version of the apprenticeship programs and using labor, trained labor like that.
What do you mean Pueblo County's version of that? I'm confused.
The responsible contracting policy.
And once again, I bring up the tri-trade. That just makes sure that the other trades don't get left falling through the cracks, right? Electrical code is one thing. They have to use licensed electricians, but that's not the same for the construction laborers or the construction operators, right? Which we tend to see fall through the cracks because of that. So once again, I think this is a way to invest into our workforce, our local community. 12 months of work is 12 months of paychecks for
Right.
some folks to put food on their table at the end of the day. And then we talk about investing in workforce for other projects. Well, other developers could be reassured that we're also investing into that workforce. So when they come to build, we could say, hey, yes, we just built out this project. The workforce is there, they are trained, and they're ready to go to the next one, if that's really the momentum the county wants to take.
Well, then what I would suggest is that we do table until Brendan, I mean, Marcy's pretty quick.
Tuesday
so
at the late-
Tuesday.
At the latest, Thursday we'll shoot for.
Okay.
I just would like to note that this is technically a lease with the option to purchase, so I think that might kind of change the calculus a little bit, but we will look into it. I think tabling's the right approach, and
Let lawyers be lawyers.
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that up, Jose.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you
that.
guys.
Yeah.
I've got a quick comment to that as he was talking about it, because obviously from my front door, I can see the NextEra Thunderwolf project. And within 6 months of that project going up, the solar panels had started failing. And I was actually able to catch one of the NextEra workers the other day at the entrance on 40th Lane. What's happening is, and they've got, I don't know, maybe a 2% out at the field right now, is the panels are no longer tilting. So they're fixed at one point and then they switch at the very end of the night or the very end of the morning. And so I talked to him about it. I said, hey, what's wrong with your panels? Why aren't they working? He goes, well, it's an issue, but we have to have cranes that come in there. It's a big expense. We have to fix them. And actually they're under a warranty, but he goes, that warranty is only good for 15 years. And he said, once that warranty's gone, we're screwed. And he said that's also depleted the efficiency of the field. It's not a lot, but if you set this up, they're in charge of it. At what point do those things start crossing over that we as the county in 15 years could be with a broken system out there or a less efficient system out there that maybe falls on the county now at this point. So I kind of think some of those issues should be addressed with this, because I've watched a lot of these 1041s come in over the years, and there is a lot of lip service to them. They promise the moon, and then when they're up and functional, a lot of that goes to the wayside. So I think you really need to look at efficiency on the field, and at what point when these panels start failing, whose responsibility is it?
Thank you.
Will say that the development of this contract does include a minimum performance guarantee for the 20 years. So there's a lot of power there, no pun intended, for Pueblo County to enforce proper maintenance in that. It is written in the contract that every year there is a performance guarantee of kilowatt hours.
And just to clarify, we are leasing power from this, in this agreement. It's not,
Purchasing-
we're not,
Purchasing power.
we're purchasing power,
It's their equipment.
It's
their
their
system, it's all
responsibility.
their stuff.
right?
They're guaranteeing us that if you enter into this agreement, we guarantee we'll give you this much power every year.
Right. Thank you.
Got it. Okay, thank you, everybody for that. And, again, thank you for bringing that up. So I'll ask for a motion to repeal our previous vote on item 3B for approval, and instead I'll ask for a motion to table this item, for Thursday.
Mr. Chair, I don't think we did vote or make a motion yet.
Didn't.
Yeah, you
So I think,
Just-
Motion, yeah.
A motion to table it at a later date. I don't think
Yeah,
you have to
okay.
specify.
All right, well then I'll ask for a motion to table item 3B to a later date.
so moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Our next item, 3C, is a resolution approving the submittal of the Core Services Program Plan to the Colorado Department of Human Services. We have Chris Reed here to present.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris
Morning.
Reed with Child
Morning.
Welfare. I'm presenting Pueblo County's Core Services Plan for approval. This plan outlines our available services that can be used by families who meet the eligibility requirements. Our core services are designed to direct intensive services that support and strengthen the family and protect the child, prevent out-of-home placement for the child, return children in placement to their own home, or unite children with their permanent families. Our core funding allocation for this fiscal year is $2,219,000. Any questions?
Is that a lesser amount than last year?
It's about the same.
Is it about the same?
Mhm.
Okay.
Any substantive changes that we need to be aware of as far as like the services proposed and delivered?
No, any major changes.
Okay, this is the last of a 3-year plan, correct? So
That's
things are
correct.
mostly flat. Okay. I have no further questions.
I'm good. Thank you, Chris. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3C.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes.
Okay, our next item, 3D, is a resolution approving the memorandum of understanding between Pueblo County, Colorado and Castilla County, Colorado. Again, Chris Reed here to present.
Thank you. The MOU outlines our willingness to support Castilla County's child welfare practice during their leadership transition and certifying their newly promoted supervisor. We would like to offer them supervisory support to help guide their decision-making and promote quality services to their community's family and children while they onboard their new supervisor. And it is requested that the MOU be approved.
First, thank you for offering to help a smaller county. I think
Thank
that's
you.
important.
Do you have a feel for how much time commitment?
I do. Their supervisor is in the process of being certified right now, and she said she has about a month left. So we would help supervise their team until she's certified, and then a little bit after that to make sure that we put them on some good foundation,
Just that transition period.
just for the transition period. Yes, while they support
My
her.
understand, sorry to interrupt you. My understanding is that their caseload is minimal.
Yes, it's minimal.
Okay. Okay, no issues.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3D.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next item, 3E, is a resolution approving the option allocation letter and a contract amendment between the State of Colorado Division of Criminal Justice, Community Corrections, and Pueblo County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian
Morning.
Gomez, Correctional Services. Before you today, as the county attorney indicated, there's two things here. One, we want allocation 3 approved. We also have an amendment the state has for Exhibit A, which is the statement of work. The first part, the allocation is $2,896,275.21 for state fiscal year 2027. That is a decrease of approximately $81,000. $76,000 of that was facility payments and about $5,000 of board administration money. The amendment in 2023, the state implemented a facility payment plan that eliminated subsistence payments from the inmates and provided that money for additional revenue for the providers. And the inmates didn't have to pay any additional services. Now with the budget cuts, the state has implemented subsistence again, and they're capping it at $8 across the state. And our program has 133 beds. So they base the facility payments on capacity rather than what's actual living there. So we lost that payment, the providers lost that. So they'll be collecting that starting July 1st. And I think there's an attachment of how that's going to work. In the past, in 2023, that subsistence was $17 a day. So I think it's quite a bit less. We have a pretty good workforce in that facility. So we'll see how it goes. In the past, there were some questions about subsistence, but I think with some cooperative efforts with that provider, I think we'll be in good shape here for Pueblo.
In the breakdown of the funding, there's 2.6 million for residential services and 95,000 for non-residential.
Yes.
So can you explain with the non-residential, the differentiation there?
Non-residential is when a client proceeds through the residential program and is independent living, normally in an apartment, and we still maintain UAs and supervision of them through that transition period. So that money is allowed to have interventions provide that type of service in the community.
So Mr. Gomez, it looks like this contract covers the entirety of your residential and non-residential lines in your correctional services. They're not taking a big hit from 2026. Is that?
That's correct. Actually, non-residential went up $8,700 and residential increased a couple $100. So we're not taking a hit at all, Commissioner.
Okay. Okay, I have no other questions.
Thank you, Brian. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3E.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, our next item 3F is a resolution approving the IGA between Pueblo School District 60 and Pueblo County concerning facility use for emergency management for the Aspen Acres area fire.
Morning, Josh.
Morning, Commissioners. Joshua Johnson, Pueblo County Sheriff's Office. So what you have in front of you is the memorandum between ourselves and District 60 for the use of Beulah Heights Elementary School. As you're aware, Dr. Kimsey graciously offered this because they are consolidating from 6 schools down to 3, and so this building was vacant. So we are currently using it for our Recovery Assistance Center, commonly known as the RAC. So this allows us use of the facility free of charge for the duration. It also allows, there's a kind of a, I don't know if it's an attachment or an addendum, but we can also use it for an emergency shelter if we need additional space in addition to our community center. So those kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, just a big thank you to District 60 for stepping up as far as with many partnering agencies and organizations across Pueblo County and even outside of Pueblo County. They certainly didn't have to do this.
Correct. Dr. Kimsey's been amazing to work with. We get a janitor 5 days a week. The only 2 stipulations where we have to leave the bus loop open because that is still an active school bus stop for the children in that community to be bused to other locations, and that the playground outside had to be accessible at all times for the community as a park. Beyond that, we have free run of the entire building, and so they've been great partners to work with.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Josh. I have no other questions. Everything going good so far?
Yes, ma'am. We are seeing the numbers, daily numbers start to go down. So purely a guess, I am making this up on the spot. I would anticipate using the facility for roughly 4 months. That is purely a guess. Because we're starting to see the numbers get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so there will become a point of diminishing returns where we won't need it anymore. So that's purely my guess, roughly 4 months time frame before we can scale down even further, give the school back to them.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate the thanks to Dr. Kimsey and all of her staff, as well as the D60 school board. You guys have been really accommodating and amazing throughout this, so thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I will ask for a motion to approve item 3F.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Item 3G is a resolution approving the appointment of a Pueblo County Chief Administrative Officer.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, so Commissioners, this is just essentially ratifying his appointment, effective as of his first date is the 20th, I believe. Not sure if you have any additional comments. We did introduce him, but it's before you for action.
It's had a 1-week trial period.
Yeah.
Now
You
we're
passed.
ready for a resolution.
Yeah.
No buyers for motion, I hope so.
Yeah. No, yeah, just appreciate it. And we have been impressed with what you brought to the table so far. So we thank you. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3G.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, our final item, 3H, is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Public County, Colorado, authorizing the Human Resources Department to design and administer a performance management policy, establishing and implementing the performance snapshot policy, phase 1, and setting reporting and approval requirements for future phases.
Yeah, I guess I can speak a little bit to this because I've been bothering Trish since she came on board. Just as, as we discussed in the past about bringing back performance evaluations across the county, it's hard to be able to tell you how you're doing if we're not telling you how you're doing. And so I think that this is a big step in that right direction. Again, was thoroughly impressed with what you created in your team, Trish, in quite frankly, a short period of time. This is not the final implementation, but I think, again, this is a very good step in the right direction of something, quite frankly, I've been asking for years. So it's good to see this in front of us today. But I don't know if you'd like to give a high level overview or if anybody else wants to say anything.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I was just seeing if it was working. We're loading a bit of a presentation to explain exactly what phase 1 is going to look like. Okay. All right. So as Commissioner Swearingen has already alluded to, it has been some time since the county has created a developmental program for performance management. I thought it would be a very good idea to add a slogan to create more of a communications plan to ensure that everyone is understanding. It's really important when you're talking about an employee's performance that they have a full understanding of what's not just being expected of them, but what the supervisors are expected to do. The entire process needs to be thoroughly communicated in order for it to be well kicked off. So with a new slogan of driving a culture of performance and driving results for our community, we will initiate phase 1 of a 3-part performance management process to start in August. Let's see if this works. Sorry about that. My backup clicker is sitting over there. So as a part of the communication process, we would start with a level of messaging directly from the Board of County Commissioners themselves to illustrate the need for performance, accountability, and basically a 3-step process. So it comes in 3 parts, but it's also a 3-step process within. So again, we start with communication, understanding exactly what's going to happen. We may have questions. How does this relate back to me and my position within the county? And understanding what comprehensive performance management is also requires explaining the accountability of the work that they are individually being paid to do on a day-to-day basis. So to kick off this particular process, Tommy, you're going to have to, thank you. We would start with a series of communications. Within phase one, they would start on Monday, August 3rd, with some relatively basic information, and then more detailed information would be going out to each of the supervisors to allow them time to ask questions, to really gain an understanding of what's being expected of them in this process. So here you see a basic snapshot between phase one, which we are asking permission for today to begin, where it defines what focus areas would be reviewed. As this is being called a snapshot, this is a baseline. So this is just to obtain exactly how the employee is doing on the day-to-day in the last 6 months period of time. Phase two wouldn't start until later in the fall, where it is still being developed, but it would roughly encounter metrics and targets for each department. So here are some of the key dates that we would be looking at. Should the resolution pass today, that would be the kickoff. Supervisory training and questions would start next week, followed by the performance snapshot discussions on August 10th. And then if an employee is not performing at or above expected acceptable guidelines, then performance improvement plans would be offered in order to help employees obtain the levels that are required of their position. And then lastly, should all go well, we would like to see a 3-step process where phase one begins here with this resolution. Phase two, of course, later in the fall with metrics and targets. And then early next year, beginning with the first quarter of 2027, we would have a countywide performance management program that includes quarterly metrics and targets, with an eventual dashboard to show everyone on a transparent level exactly how departments are doing. And I believe that's it. Oh, and then I had one more slide here. This is also a piece of the communication plan to explain the actual performance snapshot that would begin here in August. Very simple, starts a baseline, have constructive conversations with their supervisors. It's more than just a form, whereas it offers a chance for open communication between the supervisor and the employee where one hasn't taken place in some time. Should be one more. Yep. So this is another example of communications that would take place. And then here is the actual snapshot that is being proposed to be used for the month of August, simply to capture a baseline for employees. It is measurable, where there's 14 observable items in which an employee would be measured on, for a top possible baseline of 42 points. This is an example of a supervisory implementation guide that would be given to all supervisors so that they would be in the know on how to use the snapshot form. And then this is the actual rubric. So if there is any confusion as to how a supervisor should rate an employee, there is a defined expectation for what each actual rating means in words. So the rubric can be used in order to really understand how to rate an employee without confusion. Should an employee score less than a 27 on a scale of 42, this would be the performance improvement plan form. It's the same one that's being used currently. It is a fillable form and it is electronic, so it's an easy way for supervisors to offer guidance. And then finally, an example of directionals for supervisors should they have questions about how to use the PIP form. And of course, they can always reach out to the Human Resources Department for us to give them any guidance that they need. And I believe that's it. Thank you very much, Tommy.
Yeah, thank you for that presentation, Trish. And again, thank you for to you and your team for putting all of that together. And legitimately, I have not met anybody in the county that is adamantly opposed to this. And in fact, quite the opposite of people wanting to be recognized, or of people, wanting to be held accountable and hold those around them accountable. Because at the end of the day, we are here to provide a service to this community and to all of our constituents out there. And this, again, it is a massive step in that right direction to hold all of ourselves accountable and, to start looking towards incentives and merit and all these different things moving forward and performance evaluations and benefits that can associate themselves with that. Because we have some very, very high quality people in this county. And that needs to be recognized. And I just appreciate all the hard work that you and your team have done on this.
I would add my thank you as well, Trish. I think when you look at public service and what it means to work in a public sector, the measurement of results is the service to our constituents in our community. And one of the statements I like to say is you don't know what you don't know. Without performance management, you don't know where your measurements are in meeting those constituent needs. So every place I've worked, I thrived in an environment where I was evaluated on my performance. I learned and grew through things that I did not know. And without those opportunities, I would not have been able to continue to grow in my workplace. I think everybody desires not just to serve, but to know what their purpose is and to know that they're fulfilling that. So as a county, we need to do a better job of advising our employees, helping them grow, helping them learn, evaluate them, and honor them when they've done well. And performance management is the one way to do that. And I would say what I like about what you put together is the end game is driving those results for our community, because we are a public facing agency that serves our community in so many ways. We've seen it in the fire. We've watched people go above and beyond what they needed to do to serve. And that's the heart of someone who wants to be in the public sector. It's not always about the pay or the benefits. It's about the purpose. And performance management validates purpose, not just with you, but with your supervisor. And we have not provided that much guidance, I don't believe, in prior years because we've not had a system to do that. So there's nothing to be afraid about this process. It's really going to be collaborative between a supervisor and their employee, the supervisor and their director, and this board saying we have got to do a process that will provide better benefit to our community. This isn't an option to me. It's been something I've noticed since I got here over a year and a half ago. It's hard to manage a workforce that doesn't understand the value of their purpose. And this is one way to instill that. So I applaud you and thank you for your work and time. We've met quite a bit about that. And I agree with you, Commissioner Swearingen. It's been long overdue. And this is a simple way to get started. We're not just changing performance, we're building a culture of performance, which means every employee understands they have a role to play. And we expect them to reach the highest level they can reach and encourage them to do that with help and support. And it's a very forward-looking process of building a culture of change. A culture of performance is not something you do instantly. It requires different actions, and this is the first of many. So thank you for rolling that out today and explaining it the way you have. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, ma'am, about kind of the mechanics of how this gets rolled out? As supervisors go and start to fill out these evaluations, will it be on that sheet of paper that you displayed, or is there going to be some kind of electronic form that supervisors work through?
There is an electronic form. So the actual form that you saw that was displayed on the screen has been converted into a electronic version where boxes will appear where the scores should be completed and fillable areas for the name and the supervisor. Then it can be electronically stored in the employee file. Paper just seemed to be too cumbersome of a process to roll out in such a quick turnaround.
Okay, thank you. I totally agree with that. So then the data will be
It will be stored in Workday.
okay, it's stored in Workday. And then our vision is to eventually have a module built out in Workday where we do the compare, like our entire performance management system exists in Workday, using this as a baseline data point and then building off of it.
So something that you bring up, Commissioner, is the scoring system for this snapshot to create the baseline will be the same exact scoring system for metrics and targets that was done intentionally. So then, yes, the answer to your question is that once Workday has been implemented with the proper modules to store the metrics and targets, the scoring system will flow. That was designed intentionally for that purpose.
Thank you, ma'am. I totally agree that there is a necessity for this, and I appreciate the hard work getting it rolled out so quickly. I think it will take some solid messaging and training to get the buy-in from supervisory staff. We're just not used to this as an organization. So I'm confident that we have the right person in place to roll that message out, and thank you for your hard work on it and your team.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3H.
So moved.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That'll bring us into commissioner comments. I can expedite myself. Really quick, again, thank you to everybody that is continuously working on the fire and the recovery, as we've all sat up here and said. And I thank you to my colleagues, because we have all been doing our thing in different areas and really trying to be in a supportive role of everybody on the ground. And thank you to, again, all of the community, even looking at demo permit fees. I know that has been a concern, and I think Miles, when last week or the week before, I think with very good explanation. I mean, our intent with that was never to generate revenue at all. It was simply a cost covering measure to lower that down to $100. But in combination with that, talking with, again, an individual, I don't know if he wants to be named at this point, but has been instrumental in this recovery effort across the board on so many different levels. Spoke with him, and there's the opportunity out there now for reimbursement on that permit fee going through the BOAD system. So again, it's amazing to have these volunteers coming from around the country and really opening up and being supportive to all of us. So there's methods to that as well. So we are legitimately trying to do the best that we can as an organization. Again, recognizing our financial situation, but really trying to expedite cleanup, recovery, and everything that goes along with that. And so that is just another step in that direction. And then I'll just really quickly bring up, this is something that I've been kicking around for quite some time, talking with the appropriate parties. But I think that if my colleagues, and this is again, first steps, if we want to start looking towards a countywide fire district and potentially a countywide water district, I've talked to water people, fire people, but even before this fire, there are places in this county with ISO ratings so high because the coverage isn't there. So the way that I understand it, talking about the fire district specifically, is it is just a sharing of resources between all rural fire, and it broadens out that scope of coverage, which can in fact reduce insurance rates and just be beneficial. So again, I just wanted to throw it out there. This obviously shines a bright light on the necessity for something like this. And then when you look at water, I mean, we had Beulah come in last week. We're stronger together. And so I think that there are things that if we go down these paths, some of them might need to go out to the voters, and that is our job to convey those messages to them. But just this shines a very bright light on the necessity for us to, again, not be siloed in this county, in this community, work together, and try and offer the best services to everybody out there. So we don't need any obviously discussion or decision or anything else like that. I just wanted to put it on you guys' radar about something for the potential future, because I know that there's been some pretty smart people talking about this for quite some time. So maybe it's worth just, starting to see where it progresses to, starting to get the right parties in the room, maybe have a work session or something else like that coming up. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to respond real quickly. Thank you, Wendy Kern, for your appreciation of the effort that we've made in this fire. you are correct. I don't know of a board that's faced so many disasters in a year and a half as this board has. And we've learned to work together in ways with this community and our partnerships to really leverage resources and really get help to our community. And I'm so grateful for all of our partners federally, locally, and just nonprofit, everyone in this community that's pulled together. And I think you're right, Commissioner. When you face a crisis and a disaster, you look to the people around you first. And I think Pueblo is a very rich community that way. So it's been awesome to watch that. And to answer your question on cost, yes, we are going to incur quite a bit of cost, probably the month of June and July. July overtime will be a massive hit to our budget. I can't give you a number between the regular staff, our public works staff, our sheriff's department. I expect a large overtime payout this month. What we're looking to is a reimbursement for those firefighting costs for sure will be covered. But beyond that, I'm looking at what else can we do to get resources to our county. Of course, we've declared a disaster already. We do that disaster declaration every week. The governor's given us a verbal declaration of disaster. I was on the phone last night with Congressman Jeff Hurd about potential funding opportunities from the White House coming down for disaster relief in terms of supplemental funding that possibly we could add the Aspen Acres Fire to. His staff is working on that. So we each in our own ways are working every angle we can to get help and resources. And just to, I know that there's been some discussion about that fee for debris, the $100 fee. And I know that in some cases that might be a large amount, and we understand that. It is not something we hope to do, but it's managing our budget at the county and making sure we can meet costs for our staff doing that work. And I would just throw out there that the county has paid for every single garbage container that you've seen in these communities to collect food, to collect waste, to collect all of that, to get it turned around. We've had partners that have donated those resources. So we've done everything we can to reduce costs to those in those areas. And I would say dumping is a huge cost that the county has covered, and we will cover everything that we can cover. But there are some things that we must do, one, for the process to work, and two, because there is a cost to us doing that. And the disposal fee is just one of those things. There is also some of these organizations that will help with that fee. And that is one thing that I wanted to get out there. If it is insurmountable for anyone, there is help available for that. But part of the reason for that disposal or demolition fee is to check to make sure the utilities are capped off, to ensure that there's a safety element. And so we're balancing public safety and the need for our fire victims to get normalcy. Those burned out homes contain a lot of things that are not good for the environment, not good for the watershed. And so there's a lot of work to be done to ensure public safety. And that's a balance that this board has to meet with that disposal fee. So just so you know, we're still working. This fire is not done. The recovery continues. And again, as we have continued to look at our budget, of course, we didn't plan on a major disaster hitting us at this point in the year as we've been moving along with reorganizing the county. But I anticipate we will get through it. And we are using every lever we can to find funding, to find savings, and to find an ability to make this county stronger through the process. So thank you to everybody that's helped. DHS, who has spent so much time individually with our survivors of this fire and helping them with the basic needs that they have. There's just been so many partners. And I don't think I've ever seen Josh Johnson every day in my life since this fire for the last month. So it's been good to get to know you better, Josh. It's been great, but we are continuing to work. There's a lot of issues to work through. As you mentioned, Wendy, there's concerns about what kind of building standards is the state going to require of us. There's a lot of questions we have to answer, and our building department and our planning and development department will be working with us to advise us on what's doable and what challenges remain. But this board remains united in our effort to make it easier for those that have been through the circumstance. Assuring our staff, we're still looking at the budget. We're still looking at being a viable county. We're still looking at ways to improve services to our constituents and to those that work here. And our commitment remains the same, to leave this county better than when we found it when we arrived. And I think all three of us feel that way. When we're done with our work here, we will leave a better county for the next board to work and do the things that they need to do. That's my commitment. That's been my commitment since I got here. Leave it better than I found it. And no, I didn't plan on two disasters in the middle of it, but that's part of learning and growing. And I can say I've definitely got my learning cues in the last month that I did not realize I could get. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. To piggyback on the cost of this fire, that, there's kind of this, I think there's this feeling in the community that FEMA will come to save us and we will be getting reimbursed for these things. A portion of that is true for the direct firefighting, for the immediate evacuee sheltering. Those things are covered by FEMA in their FMAG. I believe that stands for Fire Management Assistant Grant. That has been granted to us. But it's not 100% reimbursement. It's a 75% reimbursement from the feds, and we're anticipating a 12.5% cost share for the county, 12.5% for the state. So that's for fire response costs that we have incurred. For recovery costs, that is completely up in the air. As Commissioner McFeeters mentioned, right now, the county is kind of absorbing some of those costs in the form of dumpsters, just indirect or, in-kind costs, I'll call it, for staff time. We have staff sited up in Beulah, and I believe the plan is to get staff in Rye just to help people through the demo permit process, the planning process. So the ongoing costs of recovery, we don't know what they are. We don't know a dollar amount yet. And we certainly don't know if there is potential for reimbursement. What we will do is to continue to relay as we have more and more information. And even right now, I think we could put together a pretty clear kind of a roadmap of best case scenario, worst case scenario, as far as reimbursement cost incurring on the county side. So that's our commitment, Wendy, is to just keep the community informed, but to think that eventually we're going to be made whole from all of this by the federal government, it's not a foregone conclusion at this point. So I've also been having great conversations with Congressman Hurd. He understands kind of our financial situation. I really tried to impress upon him the fact that we were in a bad cash position prior to this, and the fire has made it extremely worse. So, he has been very receptive to the idea of kind of a short-term loan, of, so a cash injection to the county where we're able to at least make ourselves whole for the cost that we've incurred up to this point for cash that we don't really have. So I think now that the damage assessment is by and large done, the fire is not out, but hopefully our communities are safe from being affected. I think we're at the point where we can get some more solid numbers and say, this is how much salary time or, how much staff time we spent on this fire. These were the material costs incurred. All of those things we can kind of hopefully get a clear picture to say, this is what we're looking at as far as costs incurred by the county up to this point, that we are confident we will get that 75% reimbursement. So we'll continue to work with Mr. Johnson and the sheriff's office to put those reports together and present them as soon as it makes sense that we have a somewhat reliable number to present to the community. I also wanted to just quickly remind folks that there are specific recovery meetings tonight and tomorrow night for the ag producer community. Tonight will be in Beulah at 6:30 p.m. at the Good Pasture Barn right off Highway 78. And then tomorrow night, it's identical materials that will be presented, but tomorrow night, July 29th, is in Rye at 7 p.m. and that's at the Hatchet Ranch Barn, just off the east side of the interstate there in Colorado City. So if you're an ag producer or are interested in learning more about what the recovery process will look like for ag producers and the resources available, please plan on attending those meetings. We just got to continue to work, right? There's no other way around this but to just do the next right thing that's immediately in front of us, continue to educate ourselves, continue learning from the relevant departments at the state. The state has been extremely helpful in this. They're always over there at the EOC guiding us and telling us, things to look out for. There have been commissioners from around the state reach out that have dealt with these types of things before. So we have a lot of support structure. It's just a matter of wrapping our heads around the entirety of it and then applying the specifics to our situation. So thank you to everybody that's been involved. We continue to work, we continue to learn, and we will do our best to keep folks informed as we move forward.
Thank you very much, both of y'all. I would just real quick add, speaking with our building department, they are trying to work as diligently as possible to make it as, non-restrictive to rebuild and trying to do all these things. So I want to say thank you to them, and just ask everybody, there are processes out there. We understand things have been destroyed, but please try and adhere to those. And again, the recovery network, there's need for that potential reimbursement so that we have a full scope of all of the damage. And so if you haven't gone on and logged in there, please do so. As we've said multiple times, even if you had no damage, but were simply evacuated, we need those numbers. And then one last thing is just, thank you for the county fair. You guys did a phenomenal job. As we've said last week. And I mean, it was impressive to see everything come together in the way that it did with all of the outside circumstances that were thrown upon you. And Miles is a brand new owner of some rabbits.
Bought some rabbits. My child was devastated that we didn't actually take them home. Like a solid half-hour petting session. So
Yeah.
it's all worth it.
That's good. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Our next meeting will be July 30th. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.